Hi, everyone, and it's Georgia, and welcome to Mama's Soul Food. I wanted to share this with you just because I decided this year I'm going to start being a little bit more, what's the word, creative in how I'm going to be doing videos. And one of the ways, or even how I present, and one of the ways is going to be how I even dress. And this glorious, glorious Cinderella item, which is actually part of someone's wedding ensemble, um, because they were of Eastern Indian culture. This was worn in their wedding. Not that I'm looking to get married, but it felt really sacred, like sometimes veils are used to keep beautiful things in wait for a while. That's the hard thing about veils. You can't see the real truth all the time, right? I mean, when you're having experiences in life that feel veiled, like you can't see everything that's unfolding, it's very frustrating. And sometimes those experiences go on for a while. I know that. I went through kind of one of the hardest experiences I went through was moving through housing transiency and homelessness after a very long illness. It felt like a veil. It wasn't the truth of I know how I felt about myself, but it felt like a veil that I just couldn't move through. But the truth is, nothing is stagnant, and we're always moving through something. It's just that while I was in that veil, there were things that I needed to understand. I needed to be behind the veil in order to have a different perspective when that situation changed. And anymore, that's really more and more of what I'm learning, that my life experiences are really there to give me lessons and perspective uh, that help me perceive life in a way that, I don't know, minimally gives it more meaning. I've talked about this before. I'm sort of one of those people that if I can understand something and have meaning from it, I'm okay with that. Even suffering. Of course, suffering is the hardest thing that we go through. Suffering is a veil too. Um, it teaches us so much, and yet it's so difficult. So I'm not sure what veils that you are feeling restricted by or you can't see clearly through. Um, but just remember, they're there for a beautiful purpose. Not knowing is okay. A lot of people don't necessarily feel comfortable with not knowing, but not knowing is actually um, the more honest state of being a human being on this planet. We think we know things, and we certainly set up, situations in our lives that appears as if we're, we know everything. But there's so much not knowing that we have to get comfortable with. And if I can say in the last 2 years, if I've mastered anything, this veil of not knowing, even what might be happening a few weeks from now, I'm getting more comfortable with it. And I'm learning to sit with not knowing and find out what I can do in that space, and also what I shouldn't do in that space as well. So we have veils of not knowing. One of the guys that I listened to, he said some pretty interesting things recently. One of the things he said was, I don't know how to put this into words. When you start learning how to take your lack or what you don't have and turn it into abundance, into what you do have. You know, the whole lemonade from lemons thing. But truly, that's when you are really actively moving yourself forward. So I'm just going to take an example. For me, when I was going through that experience of not having a home, it was a huge sense of lack. I probably overinterpreted it as lack because one of the lessons that I learned during being veiled, right, during that veiled experience was that it yes, there was a sense of lack, but I also had complete detachment from the burden of having a house and the expenses. I mean, yes, I had to find housing and I had to live in a couple of different places, but I was also free. So over time, I came to understand that my interpretation of lack was actually an invitation to a different kind of freedom and detachment from attachment. So that was one of the things that I felt I heard from this one speaker today. You know, I'm really kind of getting good at taking what appears as lack and turning it into abundance, if not only in my mind. The other thing he said was that kind of goes along with people who are always worried about money and debt. They're worried about the debt they have. He also said in economies, even the wealthy learn how to leverage their debt in order to build wealth. Now, I don't have a lot of debt, but it's a good perspective to have if you don't even have a lot of money, because all of that is leveraging energy for creating wealth. And of course, as the wealthy do, they literally borrow in order to build, borrow debt, create more debt in order to create more wealth. What's nice about these perspectives, especially if you are somebody who's concerned about money, as we all are, is that even in the worst of our situations of having nothing, we're always invited to see beyond that veil and create something. And the last thing that he said that really kind of tickled me this morning, well, he used these words that I'd never heard before. And I'm sharing with you the words so that you can be thoughtful about them too. He basically asked, what is your happiness cohesion? If you have thoughts on this, I'm happy to kind of hear what you have to say about it. But my happiness, what is happiness cohesion anyways? Well, for me, I would interpret happiness cohesion as a thread that moves through my total life, or should move through my total life. Mind, body, spirit, sensuality, spirituality. I already said spirit, energy, all of the chakras. Do I have a thread of happiness moving through all of who I am? And again, those chakras are kind of the root chakra is financial and home stability. The second sacral chakra is feelings and sexuality and sensuality. The solar chakra is confidence, personal strength, and willpower. The heart chakra is relationships. Throat chakra is communicating truth and expression, your real self. The third eye chakra is understanding. And of course, you have your crown chakra, which is connecting to something bigger than yourself. So you think about it. If I ask myself, do I have a thread of happiness moving through all of those aspects of who I am? And I don't have an answer for that yet because I want to think about it for a while. I know I've been focused on balancing and healing, but happiness cohesion, it means that not only are all of those aspects of who I am have a space of happiness within them, but the totality of all of my life can be seen through a lens of happiness, which is a hard thing to do if you've had some tough times in your life. But isn't that what we are supposed to do? Move through, learn from, release, and improve. My happiness cohesion is something I'm going to think about and aspire to. That old guy that just walked by, that was pretty cool. Anyways, have a good day. I'm not sure if any of this. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta do my cards. I'm doing a little different cards. I chose a feminine energy deck. Do not be offended if you are a male, because we have feminine and masculine energies within us. So it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to talk about. So I have a deck called Soulful Woman. Thanks for sitting with me in the quiet. I know you're not supposed to be quiet on your YouTubes, but sitting with people in quiet is also a really beautiful thing. True worth. Look at this gorgeous creature. I wonder if I can get her more in the light. True worth. My true worth is intrinsic. and shines from my inner being like a sacred jewel of love and compassion. My true worth is intrinsic and shines from my inner being like a sacred jewel of love and compassion. If you look at this picture, what's pretty cool is right in her heart, throat chakra, is the jewel. And there's a bee inside of it. And of course, bees are amazing in their abilities to follow the queen, work for the community, and of course, bring life to the world around them. You have true worth. It has been always, always. It has never not been. So if for a minute you have a feeling your worth is veiled, well, take a look as to why you might feel that way. And remember, you have true worth. And there comes a time when that is no longer needed to be hidden. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.